Welcome to Talk Learning with me. I'm Joseph Diaz, an instructional designer passionate about connecting with others and exploring the field of learning and development. In this podcast, we dive into topics like education, learning science, facilitation, behavior change, and other skills related to personal and professional growth. If you're looking to connect with other lifelong learners and discover new insights from talented learning professionals, this show is for you. Today's episode is all about networking, specifically why you should network with learning professionals even if you aren't looking for a job. Most people think that networking is just for job hunting, but here's the thing. By the time you need a network, it might be too late. I want to dive into why building relationships with other learning professionals matters and share a little bit about how it's shaped my own career. I want to start off with a story. Back in my freshman year of college, I went to my very first networking event. I remember very carefully knotting my tie, clutching my folder and backpack with my freshly printed resumes, and I walked into a room where I didn't know a single person. The atmosphere was super loud, people standing around in little clusters, handing out business cards, smiling maybe a little bit too wide. I walked up to a recruiter and I launched into a half-rehearsed pitch that I had come up with my roommate, and I immediately felt the energy shift. It was just transactional, stiff, and I could tell I was just one of the dozens of students trying to sell myself. I left the event with sore feet, a handful of business cards I'd never use, and a sinking feeling that maybe I just wasn't cut out for networking. Fast forward a few years, and I was trying to break into learning and development, but I didn't know a single instructional designer. Not one. We'll get back to that dilemma a little bit later and how to solve for that challenge if maybe you're in a similar spot that I was in. But that's when I realized that I had misunderstood networking all along. It's not just about handing out resumes. It's about relationships, having conversations, encouraging each other, and learning from others. So with that in mind, here are 4 reasons why you should network, even if you don't need a job. Reason number 1, you get to sharpen your skills through shared knowledge. Networking is one of the best ways to grow your skills. When I first started the L&D book club, I honestly thought it would just give me a little bit more accountability to finally finish the stack of L&D books that I had bought and were collecting some dust. But participating in a community did so much more for me than just help check books off of my list. I've been able to learn facilitation techniques, explore behavior change models. I've gotten to practice action mapping, and most importantly, actually apply the principles that I was studying to real world scenarios with other learning professionals. It wasn't just me reading in isolation or collecting books that were gathering dust. These experiences transformed my learning. They gave me feedback, encouragement, and real dialogue that sharpened my skills way more than reading by myself ever could. Reason number 2 is to help stay in the loop on trends and opportunities. Another reason to network is to stay current. Learning and development is constantly evolving, whether it's the new AI tools that it seems like we're hearing about every single day, different platforms, or just different expectations from learners. If you only rely on formal training, there's a lot of catch up to do. I know that since I graduated my master's program, so much has changed. But networking is something that's helped keep me in the loop. I remember the first time I saw somebody in my network using ChatGPT, not just to spit out generic text or poems, but to help draft facilitator guides, build practice activities, and summarize transcripts from training sessions. I personally hadn't thought of using AI that way yet, but because of that early exposure, I started to experiment, adapt, and share those use cases with my team. And when you're plugged into a community, these kinds of things happen all the time. You don't just hear about trends, you get to be a part of the conversation as it's happening. So if you're looking for some places to plug in, a couple of communities I've personally loved are 360 Learning's L&D Collective. That's where we host the book club, and also Heidi Kirby's Useful L&D Community. Not sponsored. Both are just full of smart, generous professionals who are eager to share, problem solve, and learn together. Reason number 3 is you want to build a reputation before you need it. Here's the truth. People can't recommend you if they don't know you. So networking is going to help you build a reputation before you need it. Remember earlier when I said I didn't know a single instructional designer? Not one? Well, here's how that changed for me. I was actually talking with my dad, who mentioned that he knew someone in the field who was an instructional designer, and he offered to make an introduction. Well, that introduction turned into my very first informational interview. I remember I was so nervous sitting there with my notebook, which I actually have to this day. And I remember trying to soak up every last word that this professional shared with me. And honestly, they gave me advice that helped shape my career. They talked about pursuing a master's program in instructional psychology and technology, which I was in the process of applying to at the time. But they also encouraged me to strengthen my technical writing skills and communication, and to also lean into more project management opportunities. So I took this advice seriously. I actually got a project management role, which I was in for about a year, where I got to practice those skills. And later on down the road, when this individual needed an intern for their team, I was ready. I hadn't just talked about growing, I had had the opportunity to go out and do that work. And here's another piece: building your reputation also comes from sharing publicly. Posting on LinkedIn consistently ended up leading to invitations to be a podcast guest for me on 3 different shows. And it was actually those experiences that made me realize how much I just love podcasting as a medium and what inspired me to start this show. So, again, lots of benefits from networking. And I know you might be listening to this thinking, but Joseph, I need a job right now and I don't have a network. Don't be discouraged. This is exactly where you start. I'd encourage you to lean into the network that you already have: friends, family, neighbors, colleagues. That you probably have seeds of a network growing right now, even if you don't realize it. And lastly, you want to give as much as you get, because the best networking isn't just about asking, it's about giving. I'm going to lean a little bit more into the gardening analogy. You can't just show up to your garden one day and expect to have fruit all of the time. You also have to give care. And just like a garden needs water, light, and time to grow, your network needs care and attention. For me, this started back in my master's program, where I'd share a little reflection or a key takeaway from class online, not because I was trying to build a brand, but because I genuinely wanted to help others. Over time, that habit grew, and when I started working, I kept trying to share the different lessons and insights I had from my work projects, insights from experiments I was trying, or just resources that I found to be helpful. To this day, I try to share what I'm learning because I feel so fortunate to have benefited from others who were ahead of me. It's my way of giving back, or maybe figuratively watering the garden. One of the simplest ways that I give back today is just leaving thoughtful comments on LinkedIn posts. Whether somebody's celebrating a milestone, they're job hunting, on vacation, or reflecting on a challenge, showing up for your network matters. I can't tell you how grateful I am for the people in my network who have shown up for me in the same way, whether it be through book club fireside chats, joining me as guests on the podcast, or just commenting at the right time. It's really meant a lot. And you might not see the fruits of your effort immediately, but over the years, the relationships that I've built have absolutely shaped my career and my professional growth. Now, I want to share a couple of actions for each of these reasons that we've talked about today. So, if you're looking to sharpen your skills, some things you can do is join a book club or follow a couple of learning and development professionals like Ross Stevenson, Luke Hobson, or Heidi Kirby, and engage with what they share. I'll be sure to link their profiles in the show notes. If you're trying to stay in the loop, join a professional community like the L&D Collective or the Useful L&D Community. Show up to a live session or join a discussion. I'll be sure to put links to each of these communities as well in the show notes. And maybe you're thinking, I want to build my reputation. Try posting something on LinkedIn this week, whether it's a reflection, a resource, you can even ask a question. Just something to let people in your network see your voice. And if you're thinking, I want to work on giving as much as I get, leave a couple of comments on some posts this week. Celebrate somebody's win, offer encouragement, share a resource, or connect people together that you know. These small acts will compound over time. At the end of the day, the relationships you build now are going to help sharpen your skills, keep you current, and open doors down the road. And if you need a job right now, don't wait. Lean into your current network. Start where you are. It might be friends, family, neighbors, your current or your most recent employer. Those are the seeds that you have. You've got to nurture them, and they'll grow into the network that you need. Now, remember at the start, I mentioned that I used to not know a single instructional designer and how I walked away from that freshman year networking event thinking that I hated networking. Well, something that changed all of that for me was realizing that networking wasn't just about printed off resumes or making awkward small talk or asking for a job recommendation. It was about the people, encouragement, learning, and showing up consistently. That shift from seeing networking as a transaction to seeing it as a relationship completely changed my career. And it can change yours too. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you so much for being a part of this learning community. And I want to leave you with the challenge, and you get to pick the difficulty level. If you want to try easy mode, send a direct message. It can be to me or to somebody in your network. I will admit, I would love to hear from you. Tell me what you thought of this episode or what you'd like to hear more about on the show. Medium mode, try sending a voice memo. I know that this can feel a little scary, but it adds a whole new level of connection. You just go into the direct messages and you can tap and hold on the microphone icon and send a little voice note. It's a pretty cool feature. Or hard mode is to record a quick video intro and you can share that to me or to somebody else. I'll be honest, I haven't done this a ton, but I've seen the way that voice memos and video intros take networking online to another level, and I want to be a safe space for you to start and practice. So whichever mode you choose, easy, medium, or hard, I'll respond in the same way. Or if you'd rather, reach out to someone else and see what seeds you can plant in your own network. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with your network. And thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll talk soon.